Alongside the co-founders of InGoal magazine, it's Darren Millard and David Hutchison and Kevin Woodley all gathered together for the start of the Stanley Cup playoffs in a drama-filled beginning through the first couple of games as we record this. We are going to chat on the Sense Arena VR feature interview. Dustin Wolf, Calgary Flames top prospect, got a look late in the season. You'll be really interested to hear some of his approaches to the game. And on the gear segment, brought to you by The Hockey Shop, source for sports Langley, thehockeyshop.com. We're twig it out with Woodley and Cam. You guys have some fun this week over there.
Yeah, nobody's ever confusing either one of us with Twiggy, however. Little extra meat on the bones over there for me and Cam. But yeah, we had some fun. Some stuff is on sale over at The Hockey Shop and thehockeyshop.com, including sticks that have come in from True and Warrior. Maybe not the latest, but for a lot of goalies, still the greatest. These may be models you use already. If not, you can check them out, get more information in our gear segment coming up. And of course, you can always call the Hockey Shop and talk to Cam or any of his wonderful staff in the goalie department. This is what happens when you have buying power. This is what happens when you got a 34,000 square foot store that you've just opened in Langley. This is what happens when you have a large retail presence online. When companies have extra stuff and they want to sell it off in bulk, guys like Cam hop on board so that they can offer you discounts through sales like this. So make sure you check them out at the Hockey Shop and thehockeyshop.com. Big discounts, large selection, Warrior twigs, True twigs, and of course it's that time of year where all the new goodies are coming into the store in person as well. So check them out online, check out the gear segment coming up, and find out exactly what models you can save on this month at the Hockey Shop.
New location's been open for a while in Langley. Have you developed a routine as far as a route when you go in, what you do, where you check out when you stop by?
Well, I mean, it's a little annoying for everyone because I have to go through multiple sections to get to the goalie corner. Ooh. It's kind of off in the back left. I don't want to say they hid Cam. I thought there were a while they were going to hide Cam, like sort of like the troll under the bridge type thing, because his office was like closed door and walls. But then they cut the wall out, so now you can see him working. Like I kind of wish there was some glass on there so I could just go tap on the glass, kind of like that. Or maybe even shake the glass a little bit, kind of like that kid in Finding Nemo with the fish. I would like to do that to Cam. But instead, I just, I got to make my way through the other sections. Check out all the cool stuff, including a ton of NHL merchandise, apparel. Like we've talked about the flip-flops. What do they call those? With the soft feet to stimulate the bottom of your foot from Bauer. They got all kinds of like apparel, sort of like, joggers. Me, I'm hip, I'm young, kind of, that Lululemon type guy. Well, now you got like the Bauer Lululemon crossover. You got like wicked stuff from CCM. They got more streetwear. So yeah, like I stop everywhere and annoy all the sections on my way back to the goalie department, Darren. It's, I maximize my annoyingness.
Woody, I know you've been really busy following the NHL playoffs and doing all the hard work that you do covering them. But did you notice that the Hockey Shop made an announcement yesterday?
Oh, you know what? I am a little overwhelmed. I'm covering one team who never...
I'm teeing you up a softball here.
One team that isn't in the playoffs in their year end and another team that is in the playoffs in Seattle. And I've been a little torn and I almost forgot. You're right. Tendy Fest.
You can meet Cam and you can meet Woody.
Well, you can meet Cam. I didn't know that anybody wants to meet Woody.
I'm just saying you could. I don't know why anybody would want to meet you either, but...
Tendy Fest, June 17th.
Tendy Fest.
Date announced. Tendy Fest, June 17th. Date's out, June 17th, Langley. It's my brother's birthday. Sorry to my brother. I won't be there for your birthday, buddy, but I'm going to be at Tendy Fest on June 17th. It's in Langley.
Langley?
In Langley. I believe they call it the Twin Rink Complex.
This is the first time since pre-COVID, right?
Yeah, we got a special guest going to come courtesy of us. We're going to wait on announcing those details, little tease in the industry, as they call it. So yeah, it's going to be great. Your chance to check out all the latest gear, take it on the ice. They have a massive demo day. Sort of they were the start in this, right? They kicked this off. We've seen this initiated in other communities by other stores, but it kind of originated with the Hockey Shop. No better chance to try all that latest and greatest gear I talk about. Get it on the ice, try it, see how and if it fits your game before you buy it. Tendy Fest is the time to do it. June 17th in Langley. Look for more details on the Hockey Shop and our social media platforms in the coming weeks.
It is the greatest goaltending experience for a consumer. trying to prepare you for the buying process. Nothing else compares to it. Your exposure to manufacturers and the hockey shop and Source for Sports Langley, it's incredible. And it can be a day-long experience, Hutch.
Yeah, and it's not just the hockey shop, folks, as you mentioned, Darren. Like, you get to talk to manufacturers. There'll be representatives there from CCM and Bauer, and I don't know how many companies were there last time. I think they even had a whole selection of different profile blades you could get out there and try as well. So if you want to talk goaltending, lots of coaches around as well. Just a great opportunity to come and hang out and try stuff. And I think it's not just about trying the different gear that's there as well, but I think I would love that experience just from a sizing perspective, because doing carpet flies, as expert as Cam and his team are, carpet flies are not the same thing as on ice butterflies. So that opportunity to get out there and be sure you're picking the right set of gear is just unparalleled. So get out there and give it a go.
June 17th over at Twin Rinks, it's Tendy Fest 2023. This is outstanding, and a special guest to be announced soon. It has to be soon because Tendy Fest is right around the corner. June 17th.
We like to leave people hanging.
2 months.
Wow. I'm so excited about this. Almost as interesting. This just trumped what I really wanted to get to, and that column up on InGoalMag.com is the Vezina Trophy winner as obvious as it appears. Is that clickbait? Because I think it's pretty darn straightforward this year with Linus Ullmark.
I kind of think it is too. But if there's one goalie that has an argument that could be made, and interestingly enough, this is a goalie that I've seen other people ignore, and I've seen lists that didn't have him as a finalist. So maybe having the discussion is valuable just to make sure that doesn't happen. I've seen a lot of should Ilya Sorokin win it, and I don't agree with that. But UC Saros, I mean, Sorokin's had a hell of a year. I just don't think the one goalie who closes the gap to the point where he actually passes Linus in goals saved above expected, which is a stat that contains volume, right? Like, that's a volume-based stat. On a per-shot basis, Linus Ullmark was the best goalie in the NHL. But UC Saros played a hell of a lot more, and he played exceptionally. Not quite, again, on a per-shot basis, not quite to the level. On a rate basis, not to the same heights of Linus Ullmark, but enough that on a cumulative basis, he passed him in the amount of goals. Like, that's prevent goals, right? That's the job. And he prevented more goals than anyone else in the National Hockey League, passed him by about 4, got to 37 to Linus's roughly 34, 33 and a half. I don't know that the quantity is enough to undo the quality that Linus had. I don't know that you can say it's Linus's fault. He only played 49 games because they had an excellent tandem and they had their eyes on winning a Stanley Cup and having both rested, whereas Nashville played the wheels off Saros because they tried to get into the Stanley Cup playoffs. But let's be honest, they were just both exceptional. They should be 1-2 in the Vezina race. I would listen to arguments for Saros. I would argue for Linus Ullmark personally based on all the numbers that we lay out at InGoalMag.com. But if nothing else, we wanted to present the case so people could see why there is a case.
The consistency of Ullmark was mind-blowing. I have trouble even comprehending the year-to-year from top to bottom, Hutch. That blows me away. I acknowledge the Saros contribution.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a soft spot for Saros, obviously. Just that ability to play at such a high level. I know we don't love to talk about the size thing, but I think it is a huge thing to me that he can perform at that level, because it requires a level of perfection in his game in order to be able to succeed at that level. Ullmark's consistency was absolutely off the charts. I mean, you can say he only played 49 games, but he had the same number of wins that somebody would have if they had played 59 or 69 games.
62, actually. He had the same number of wins as Georgiev in 62 games with the Avalanche.
There you go.
Led the league.
There you go. He did have one advantage over Saros, though.
What's that?
Yeah, he didn't have to play against the Boston Bruins.
And The one thing we don't get into in this argument is run support. And I probably should have, because I was looking specifically at how you stop pucks. And let's be honest, having run support allows you to play with a level of freedom. Linus would be the first one to tell you that, right? Like knowing your team's going to go out and support you and score. We do get into the defensive metrics, who had the tougher environment and by how much. And yeah, Saros had a tougher defensive environment. But Linus outplayed his by a wider margin. The run support is interesting. I mean, man, Nashville blew it up at the deadline. Got, whether it was injuries or trades, they got all their top players were out. They were rolling, top lines with, actually I got to watch them playing good players, but not household names, like top lines with Tommy Novak and Luke Evangelista and guys most of us outside of Nashville haven't heard of. And Saros is backstopping them to wins and right down to the end of the season, threatening to get them into the playoffs. So at the end of the day, though, whether it was quality starts, measuring that, Saros had more, but by a percentage of overall starts, Linus slightly edged him out, 56.3% to 55.6%. Sorokin at 51.7%. Bad games count. Giving up bad goals counts. Linus Allmark only had 5 sort of batter blowing games all season. That's 10% of his starts. Saros was next in the NHL with 10 out of 63 starts or 62 starts at 15%. A lot of these, there's a lot of different ways of looking at it. And I think at the end of the day, even like high danger save percentage. They were both among tops in the league. I believe Allmark was first and Linus was in the top 3. And so that looks like, Linus, and Saros had the most high danger shots in the entire league this season. So that counts. But you also got to look at low danger. Like, we know how bad it is when a goalie gives up a bad goal, a low percentage shot, your team loses 87% of the time, unless the goalie on the other end gives one up too. Like, that's how important it is not to give up low percentage goals. And again, and we can talk, listen, if he wasn't as busy in Boston, we talk about that being an easy environment. We all know how tough that is sometimes to focus mentally when you're not seeing as many shots. Linus gave up very few and had better numbers on the low percentage shots than any of his competitors in the Vezina discussion. So you get credit for not giving up bad goals too. We always look at the high danger stuff, but I think you got to look at the low danger stuff, because an ability to keep those out of your net counts as well.
I have to go back and listen to this all over again. Because
or hear me out, because I talk too fast and I just threw a lot of numbers at you.
Yeah, that's the part. I just can't comprehend those numbers the first time around.
Go to InGoalMag.com, because Hutch made charts.
Okay.
We made tables. We made things that sort of make it easier to digest. We put lists in order.
Were the legs hard to make on the tables?
Yeah, they're probably not level. No, I was never very good in that class.
Charts are good.
Woody did most of the heavy lifting.
I'm not allowed to make tables. They wouldn't let me in woodwork class because power tools and me don't get along.
Big saws. Not good.
That's true.
Not good. Let's slide over to our gear segment, brought to you by the Hockey Shop, source for sports Langley, thehockeyshop.com. You guys working with some sticks. And I love hearing Cam, and listen for this, the ability to buy, have access to all this stock is cool.
Yep. 100%. We talked about it a little bit before earlier in the show. This is what buying power gets you. This is what having brand trust and building relationships with different companies gets you. It's what gets the Hockey Shop the way Cam does it. And listen, it's been a little while since we walked through these sticks specifically. You can find them in our past reviews. So in addition to finding out what's on sale, Cam walks through a few of the highlights of each of these twigs. And a reminder, folks, you can check out all of these gear segments, often more sort of with obviously better visuals, because there are visuals, but a little more detail and depth, including links to past reviews, by checking out our YouTube page as well.
Cam and Woody hanging out of the stick rack on InGoal Radio, the podcast with our gear segment presented by the Hockey Shop, source for sports Langley, thehockeyshop.com. Gentlemen.
Welcome back to the Hockey Shop, source for sports. I was wandering around the stick rack earlier, noticed a whole bunch of, well, I shouldn't say new, because they're not necessarily new
to us. new to camp, I noticed a crap ton of new to the store sticks, and I noticed giant sale prices on them. And that immediately had me excited. So I asked Cam, hey, Cam.
That's me.
That is you. What's with all the sale price sticks? What do we got here? We got True Catalyst 5X on sale. I can't see, like $170.
Correct.
Okay. So we've done a review on this stick. So if people want to know more about this stick, like I'm actually really liking this black with the sort of gray silver trim. That's a stealthy looking stick, like the grip, rounded shaft, so less edges to get caught by pucks and break. Just an overall
general good feeling stick for a mid-price point stick. Correct.
Yeah, okay. Not the lightest stick I've held, but decent balance. Okay, remember, folks, you can go back and check out our original review on it. The key right now is it's on sale. But I also noticed a crap ton, for lack of a better term.
You keep using that, yeah.
Warrior sticks over there. You got a whole bunch in stock. You bought a whole bunch. Can you walk me through the model? Because I got to be honest, we've been through so many different Warrior sticks over the years. I'm never sure of the different iterations of Pro Plus, Pro, Senior. Like, what are these two and what are the sale prices and why should I buy them?
So the two models that I did get are V2 Pro and V2 Pro Plus. What is the difference? So those familiar with the CR1 stick then became the V1 Pro. Now it's the V2 Pro, all along the same lines. Great, similar, all-around feel, on sale for $200 at thehockeyshop.com. You have a chance to pick up quite a few different curves. I've got good sizing in all, good colors in all. This is my Pro.
Oh, that's the one.
Yes.
Okay.
That nice white with silver looks pretty good to me.
Yeah. A nice stick.
Great shiny, good graphic. Again, quite a few to check out. Okay, what's the difference now? Pro Plus. So Pro Plus, I jump up, it now becomes a lighter stick. So once again, taking over for the V1 Pro Plus. V2 Pro Plus follows in those same lines. Higher carbon count, lighter stick as a result. Excellent overall balance and feel wise. Again, good sizing in stock as well as curves in stock. So it's not just pigeonholed to like say one curve. You do have the option of the wedge and the twist.
And if you're unsure what a wedge and a twist are, you can always go back to our video on stick curves, which helps break down the different nomenclature from brand to brand to explain.
Correct. So both sticks do feature that VibeX technology, which again, I really do notice.
Sort of dampens the vibrations.
Gel layering in between the composites. So again, yeah, that vibration in terms of that stick rattling off that hard slap shot, you really notice that dampening quality to it. So
okay, V2 Pro regular was $250 stick on for $200.
Yes.
V2 Pro Plus was regular.
$350.
And it's on for
$270.
And all of these twigs
$280.
will cross the border.
I believe so.
So for
Maybe.
our
You know
friends,
what? Tell you what. How about you check it out at www.thehockeyshop.com.
and if you have questions,
You can give me a call, 604-589-8299.
perfect time
Or
of year.
1-800-567-7790. Call.
If you have questions about curves, availability, check them out online. This is a great opportunity to stock up on sticks heading into the summer. Let's face it, camps, you abuse twigs. You're hundreds and hundreds of shots in the course of a summer.
I still want to stick to perform, but I don't necessarily want to play the top price point. We have options.
This is perfect. This might be my next warm-up stick.
Exactly.
He didn't mock me for having a warm-up
No,
stick. He's
I let
come
you pass.
around to the warm-up stick. I'm building a group of warm-up stick people.
Serious question. That's a total shot at Woody. But serious question. How long do you use a stick in game action before you have to retire it to your warm-up stick and bring in a fresh version for your games?
I think it depends on the level you play at.
Oh, so that's probably not a good sign that mine have been lasting a lot longer.
So I was going to say, like, I can go a season and it's no problem at all. And I don't, and I know you're probably thinking, oh, sure, you play a higher level, the shots are harder, so you go through them quicker. I've just been noticing this year that as much as sticks can last a long time in sort of that practice or warm-up role, after a while, they lose a bit of that pop for when you're taking shots, making passes. So if you're a guy who likes to move the puck a lot, they tend to wear out, I think, a little bit quicker than we realize just from the outward look at the stick.
They
but
break
that's
down.
something I don't really have.
They break down before they break.
You can just notice that there's something missing, and you don't even notice it until you pull out a new twig and start working with it again. So as much as I used to laugh at Woody for the warm-up stick thing, I now encourage the goalies I work with to have a gamer and just leave it there until it loses its luster, and then it's time to move it back in the rotation.
When you edit this, could you just like pull the volume up on that and repeat it? Just Woody was right.
Woody was right. Woody was right. Woody was right. You need a warm up and practice.
You
need to save your best stick for the game.
Don't wear out your gamer. Or if you're like me, don't fall so in love with a model that you cannot get anymore, or a pattern you cannot get, and then use it every Monday night in your best skate. Have it break right before the playoffs.
I brought you a new one.
It's still not
I brought
it's
you
doing
a new
better,
one.
but it's still not identical to that one I used to have.
Oh, you
So people that maybe are new to the podcast, Woody uses an old stick for warm up and then uses a newer model for the game. And I know of several National Hockey League players that do this, skaters that will use old sticks in warm up and then go to their new stick in the game because it just feels fresh and lightning quick. So, Woody, I have to give you credit. You are, if not leading the charge on this, you're part of the trend-setting group.
Well, it's the first time I've ever been trendsetter, so I'll take it. Listen, like it's just kind of like how many shots you see in warm up? You see like 30 or 40, maybe 50 shots in warm up, right?
Sometimes
like
three at a time. 3 at a time.
Yeah, it depends on how good your team is. Sometimes one off the left ear and the right ear at the same time when you're looking at the middle. It's happened in the National Hockey League. I think it was. Who was it? Was it Curtis McElhenney that got one off the ear and ruptured an ear? I'll have to ask Curtis. There was a goalie that ruptured an ear. It might have been Curtis Sanford, actually, now that I think about it. Looking one way, guy shoots from a spot he wasn't looking at, flushes the ear hole, ruptures the eardrum. So make sure your goalie's looking when you shoot. But yeah, you like think about how many shots you see in a warm-up, even at the crappy beer league level. They're all coming at you. Like you might see that many shots in a game. Like you might see as many shots in warm-up as you do in a game. And they're all wasted shots. You're just trying to work on your hands and see the puck and feel the puck. Why would you take a chance of one of them going off the shaft or catching your stick in a way that compromises? It just makes no sense to me. So there you go.
It makes sense financially. And it makes sense performance-wise with your game. Outstanding stuff. Taking it to the next level and bringing it to the people like Dustin Wolf is doing right now. Taking it to the next level. Year over year, the acceleration of his performance is staggering. Dustin is our feature interview brought to you by Sensorina VR. We'll get to more on Dustin in a second, but Hutch, what's going on over at Sensorina?
Darren and Woody, I have a question for you. How much do you think 22 hours of ice time would cost you?
22 hours. Well, ice time is...
I'm a beer league goalie. I don't pay for ice time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you get my drift. It's not cheap. From now until the end of August, roughly when people are about to start their next season, if you spend 10 minutes a day, that'll add up to 22 hours of work. Now, if you want to get 22 hours of work in on the ice, that's going to get really, really expensive. But if you have Sensorina and you spend 10 minutes a day facing NHL shooters, 10 minutes a day doing drills, looking at power plays, maybe even throwing in some of the neurocognitive stuff, just 10 minutes a day, guys, you're going to get 22 hours of practice in before next season starts. I think that's an incredible opportunity. Oh, and by the way, if you had Sensorina, those 22 hours could be a lot more, and you've got it all next season if you want it as well. So I think this is a great time to go try Sensorina virtual reality goaltending training. If you do it today, you can get a free trial. If you already have an Oculus headset, you can get free shipping. You can get the free sleeves, those things that connect the Oculus controllers to your goalie gloves. And while the sun is out this summer, you can still be on the outdoor rink training to get better for next season and having fun while you're doing it. Sensorina, great opportunity.
How much is an hour of ice time where you guys are?
I was going to say it's got to be at least $5,000 or $6,000 where we are here to get 22 hours ice over the course of a summer. At least $5,000 or $6,000. That's without a coach.
I know somebody who checked into ice over by you just a couple days ago, and it was sort of $350 an hour. Just crazy. A lot cheaper over here on the island, but at the end of the day, 22 hours is expensive. So, and then don't forget, you've got that Sense Arena app. You've got coaches in Sense Arena leading you through training programs. You've got the app so you can follow and get tips and tricks and follow your stats. And then, like I said, you got it all season long. So
yeah, $7,700. Did you just say it? $350?
Well, based on 350, yeah, 100%. And that's like,
yeah, and like obviously not everybody's going out and renting private ice and pulling out shooters and all that sort of stuff. But imagine 22 hours of training in any way with a coach in a camp. It's
how many parents have reached out to us and talked about making that investment in the summer, and then letting their kid be a kid, not go endless non-stop goalie camps, played other sports, came back, but kept doing Sense Arena. And then when he came back for camps and stuff in August, had taken a step in their tracking, in their habits, in the way they see the puck, and made a rep team. Like, we have these emails that come in on a regular basis talking about the importance of using it in the summers. So even if you are spending the money on all the camps, how much better is your ice time if you walk out there prepared? Your eyes are warmed up, your hands are warmed up, everything feels good, as opposed to walking. Some parents will spend what's a high-end camp these days for a week? Like, some of these prospect camps are like multiple thousands of dollars. Imagine walking in there cold versus walking in there feeling good about your game so you can get the most out of it. I sound like an advertisement here, I know that, but we've heard so much from so many about just how impactful this tool can be when ice is, not as readily available, especially in the summers.
I think Hutch is going to need a Sense Arena station at Tendy Fest, because you're so dialed in on this. How will we know you, Hutch? Maybe we haven't seen you. We've just listened to the podcast. You're the one with the Oculus headset. You're the guy.
I like to hide in the shadows. I like to hide in the shadows.
Which one's
it's all
Hutch?
Good.
The Oculus headset. That's him right there, looking all around.
Yeah. Hey, that idea of just 10 minutes a day and what a huge difference it can make. This week's feature interview with Dustin Wolf, he mentions a number of things that he does each day as part of his training. And I just think now's a great time to evaluate the power of a few minutes a day spent on anything, whether it's Sense Arena, your vision training. He talks about meditation in the interview this week. Now's the time to make a difference for next season. Don't wait till August.
Woody, this is a really interesting conversation about a player who has grabbed so many people's attention in the last couple of years.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously in the spotlight at the end of the season, coming off his NHL debut, so we really appreciate Dustin. Just celebrated his 22nd birthday the day before we caught up with him, so he's got a lot going on right now, but he made time for us, and I think it was an important interview, not just because it's easy to sort of get caught up, myself included, with the National Hockey League, right? You're so busy in the day-to-day of covering it. Like, this kid had a sensational season in the American Hockey League. He's the reigning AHL goalie of the year as a first-year pro, first full season in the AHL last year. He wins the goalie of the year. He follows it up by taking a jump, a significant improvement in both his personal performance and his statistics. The awards are not out yet for the American Hockey League. I think he won their equivalent of the Jennings in terms of fewest goals against. He's already won that. Obviously, I think it's a no-brainer, according to the people I talked to, that he will win his second straight American Hockey League Goalie of the Year. And there is a lot of talk around the American Hockey League, and we'll see how the voters decide. I'm going to be perfectly honest. I don't even know who votes on this one at the AHL level. But when I talk to people around the AHL, he should be, in their minds, and is a strong candidate to be the MVP of the entire league. So forget just top goalie. And we got to see him in the Calgary debut, as you're going to hear, admittedly a little fidgety, a little outside his normal game at the beginning, but he still makes, by the end of the night, 23 of 24. By the third period, looks like the Dustin Wolf that has all of us so excited, not just for the Calgary Flames, but for him. We've had him on before. We know some of his background. We get into a little bit of it and refresh it. Just a great conversation that I think will leave goalies with a lot of thoughts about how they manage their ice, about how they manage their time, about how they manage their game. Like, there are tons of takeaways in this 30-minute interview with Dustin Wolf. So I was happy he made that time for us.
Won the American Hockey League top goaltender and then tweaked his game and got better. Listen for it. It's the feature interview.
It's the how. It's the how that matters on that one.
So it also, when you listen to it, go, have I heard this recently? I think I have. There's a bit of a trend going in this direction. It's the feature interview brought to you by Sensorina VR with Kevin Woodley and Dustin Wolf on InGoal Radio, the podcast.
Really excited to welcome back to the InGoal Radio podcast, Dustin Wolf. Now, NHL goalie, Dustin Wolf. NHL experience, Dustin Wolf. Been a heck of a week for you, Dustin, and I really appreciate you taking time. I want to go over your year, everything since we talked to you last year, but let's start with sort of one of the latest highlights in what has been 2 years full of highlights. Getting to make your National Hockey League debut with the Calgary Flames, 23 saves and a 3-1 win over a team I think you grew up cheering for, the San Jose Sharks. What was that like? What's it been like since? I'm guessing your phone is full of messages from long lost friends.
Yeah, no, obviously super rewarding. 2 years in the American League now, and kind of just been hoping and waiting for an opportunity to present itself. And the Flames got knocked out of the playoffs with one game left, and they gave me a chance to do what I do best. And I really enjoy it. Like you said, I grew up watching the Sharks since I was a little kid, and it was pretty awesome to be in that environment, be in front of a full Saddle Dome and be around the guys, and obviously pretty cool to beat Spearcat on the other side too. So it's been a pretty fun week, to say the least.
Okay, so I was going to ask about that. Like, one thing to have mom and dad there, that's pretty cool. But your old goalie coach, the goalie coach you worked with all last year, is now the goalie coach of the San Jose Sharks, Thomas Spear. What element did that add to it, if any?
Yeah, I found out on Tuesday morning that I was getting called up and that there was a chance I was going to get to play. And obviously I knew who the Flames were playing. So as soon as I heard, I texted Spears, asked if he was in town. We ended up catching up at dinner, and it was good to catch up with him. He's been family to me, and I keep in touch with him and his kids and his au pair, and it's been pretty cool. It's kind of just full circle, and it's crazy how the hockey world works out with things like that.
So no fear that he had like a little extra intel in the pre-scout for San Jose, or what?
Who knows? I mean, I think my play has maybe changed a little bit since last year, but I'm sure he keeps track of what I'm doing. I'm sure of many other goalies in the league, but like I said, it's fun to beat somebody you consider a family, and obviously gonna make sure I give it to him for the rest of the time, for sure.
So what's the preparation like? I mean, I saw some quotes about trying to treat it like just another game, but clearly it's not. What allows you to get as close to that as possible? And how did you feel it went? Like, in terms of managing the emotions that come with a night like that? You've obviously played on massive stages at every level, Dustin, but this is different. It's another step up. It's a brighter spotlight. What keys can you maybe share with other young kids who might have playoffs coming up right now for the first time at a higher level? And, how do you stay in the moment and stay in your game when everything around you changes a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's a whole different, it's still hockey, but at the same time, the pressure, the scenario, the players on the other side, they're different than what you're used to. And, you've kind of become accustomed to the American League where, it's just another game. And, I'm not nervous. I just go out there and play, and, I've found success. So, I know if I just go out there and do my thing and make sure I'm prepared, the right way, that, I'm always going to give myself and our team a good chance to win. And, I think I just tried to keep that the same. Didn't change my routines at all, but, it was a late game. So there was a lot of time, spent on the couch, kind of trying to not think about the game and maybe just interact with some family or friends that have contacted me, and really just try to put in perspective that it was probably one of the biggest days of my life. And by no means was it easy. I think the first period and a half, I wasn't necessarily at the top of my game. I made some plays that I probably would have liked to have done a little differently, but I think that's the learning curve to it. And obviously, I don't like to say I'm nervous, but that was pretty nerve-wracking to say the least. And as the game went on, I got more comfortable, and I think the third period showed that when I get in my zone, that things just come and pucks come, and I can be pretty effective. So, but it was an awesome experience for sure, and obviously hoping to get more chances this next season.
So that those extra, like you said, whether it's nerves or just extra energy that comes with such a new situation with so much pressure, if you felt them in the first period, or you felt like your game wasn't what we're used to seeing, was there anything you said? Was it just the time and experience and taking a breath, or was there anything you did or said to yourself, between periods or during the game that helped you find, what anyone who's watched you considers sort of peak Dustin Wolf by the time the third period starts?
Yeah, I think just try to settle myself down. Just the first goal goes in, and kind of in the back of your mind, like, oh shit, like you want to stop every puck, and one beats us. You're like, let's just try to get back to what I do best. And I think almost at the same time, you give up one early, that maybe the pressure's off of like, hey, I don't have to put up a 0 on the board tonight. I can just go out there and do my thing. And I ended up not getting the puck in the corner, and made it up center, and they actually batted in with their hands. So thankfully it was called back. I kind of joked about it after the game that if that was the American League, it probably would have counted. But I think after that goal was disallowed, I just kind of told myself to just settle down and relax, and kind of just take a swig of water, and just go back to what I do best, and use my hockey sense to make plays that I necessarily wasn't making in the first 10 and 15 minutes. And the guys were super supportive in the room of if I don't play or make plays that I would like, I'll let them know that, hey, like, that's on me. Like, I'll make sure that I go get that puck or whatever. They were super supportive of, just do your thing. Like, don't worry about it. Like, we got you. And, it's pretty humbling to see guys that have played so many games at that level, and, they just want to see you succeed. So pretty special for sure.
Okay, I want to ask you a little about preparation, because you talked about just your routine and sticking with it, and that allowing you to sort of treat the day like any other day you're playing a game at night. Are there any things you can share with us in terms of the details of how you get ready to play for a game? Again, that it's that fine line, right, between routine and superstition. Routine can help anchor us, but we don't want to get too carried away with it. What does yours look like getting ready for a game?
Yeah, I mean, in the morning, as soon as I wake up, I try to meditate for 15 or so minutes. I've got the same so-called sound, you want to call it, or whatever. Basically birds chirping in the park, and just try to ground myself a little bit before I get the day started. And
is that an everyday thing for you, Dustin? Is that, and how long you been doing that?
Yeah, I've been doing it for a couple of years now. I'd like to be maybe a little more diligent on days that we're not playing, but that's definitely a work in progress. And I think I find myself at times, it's hard for me to just sit still. But I think when I play, like, I'm super detailed and oriented, that, I want to make sure that I'm doing everything I can to make sure I'm prepared, to make sure the team's going to get my best. And so that starts right in the morning. And in the American League, Skapski, me and him have a routine on the ice. We go out there 10 minutes early and do a couple, warm up the hands and get the legs moving. And we do at the very end of warm up, or in a morning skate, we do what we like to call, we'll go back to Jenner. Jenner created this drill, or called this drill, whatever. He calls it the kipper after Kippersoft for whatever reason. I don't know why. You just put a pile of pucks on top of the circles, and one in the middle, and we just start. We'll go 3 rounds of 3 shots at each pile, so you're getting 9 shots at each pile. You just shoot one at the glove, shoot one at the blocker, and then one on the ice. You just go through that 9 times or 3 times, so about 27 shots. And I find that from distance, you get a chance to just see pucks and track pucks, and I think it's a good way to finish it off.
I like that. I think I might have that somewhere. If it hasn't changed since last year, I might have that on video somewhere. Yeah. We might have to change. We might have to share that one with the InGoal audience as well. Absolutely, yeah. I find it very, it works for me, right? So everybody's got their own thing, and that kind of, and then I just do my stretching, get whatever treatment I need, and get the heck out of the rink. Spend way too much time there as it is. Yep. Always the last one out of there, and by the time I get home, it's like, man, I should be sleeping right now. Anyways, it's the same old. You just get back to the rink, and this was a late one too, so I didn't get there till about 5:00, and I think most goalies do a lot of similar things, right? They juggle or breathe or whatever. I like to juggle. I like to get on the bike for a few minutes. I like to watch the pre-scouts of the shootouts of guys that have tendencies. I find that that's won our team a few games over the last couple of years. Just knowing what guys like to do, and you can kind of cheat a little bit and catch them off guard. As it goes on, you just try to, I just tried to relax and try to enjoy it. And this first game was probably the first time maybe I had to crunch on some Tums, and that's pretty unorthodox for myself because I'm pretty relaxed. But I think there is a fair reason for why. Yeah, I would say that this is, if there's ever going to be a reason to have a little bit of upset tummy, it's your NHL debut under those circumstances for sure. Let's go back to the season. You mentioned Skapski. You talked about Jenner, James Jensen, your goalie coach growing up. We've mentioned Thomas Spear. Obviously a change there. Thomas with you all last year. He moves on to San Jose as the NHL goalie coach there, and in comes Mackenzie Skapski. What's that like, building a new relationship? Because you obviously had so much success last year. AHL goalie of the year. 33 wins, .924 save percentage, and now you've got a new voice. Walk me through you two getting to know each other. For starters, and then maybe some of the things that you have evolved, because the position is constantly evolving, and when I watch, I see a couple things that might be a little different. So, I'll leave it to you to share if there are any you're comfortable sharing in terms of some of the adjustments you've made together. Yeah, after season's end, in a lot of clubs and a lot of different teams, you're going to see changes in staff and personnel. I know Spearsy was looking at the Sharks, and they had an open gig, and one side of me is like, I don't want you to get that job, right? And one side of me is like, I want you to get that job because you deserve it. And it's tough. It for sure does. We ended up getting it, and after a few weeks, I remember Siggy called me and said, "Hey, we brought in this guy Mackenzie Skapski." At the time, I had known the name. Obviously, he's played a few games and just knew the name, didn't know him as a person. And first thing he did was call me and say, "Hey, we're going to have a great year. And what did Spearsy do on a daily basis that made you feel comfortable and whatever, just make sure that we're all on the same page. We're all at a good comfort level, and, we're here to win hockey games." And from the very start, he was very receptive to everything I was saying and how Spearsy treated myself and our other goalie. And, he's done an exceptional job. He's a younger guy, so he kind of can relate to a lot of us. And fellow redhead doesn't hurt. Yeah, there you go. He's fellow ginger. Got to keep him locked down. No, but we've just, things at the rink have been exceptional. He does, I really like how he formats his game video, and we're super nitpicky on little things that, last year we didn't really think much about, but this year is
turn into a season where we're improving things that I was already good at, but they're becoming exceptionally better.
Can you share an example?
Yeah, I mean, last year as an adjustment period coming from junior, guys are more skilled in the American League.
Right.
I played pretty far outside of my paint. And this year, I still will play outside my paint at times, but I play a lot deeper in a lot of scenarios, especially on like the penalty kill or plays that have an extra threat. You're not finding me 2 feet outside the blue. And I think that's been super, super effective. I've been within my lines, as Scaps like to call it. I've simplified my game a lot. It makes me moving within my paint so much easier. I'm relying on my tracking ability to pick up pucks from distance or in tight and not having to be 3 feet outside my net. And, it's been exponentially better for myself. We've focused on shifting into pucks a ton. You don't really think about it too much. I mean, I didn't even think about it last year at all. You just kind of do it.
Right.
But this year, I find myself really, engaging into shifting and not just sliding. And, I'm within my lines, like I said, and it gives me a chance on rebounds and, whatever broken plays. I'm not out to lunch, right? I've got a chance to make every save. And I think those two are probably the biggest ones for sure. Obviously, I think it's kind of shown how I've played throughout the year that, you find those little details that you can perfect and, it goes a long way.
Yeah, positions constantly evolving, right? And as you said, like as incredible as last season was, this year you tie a record for the most single season wins in AHL history with 42, 932 save percentage, 7 shutouts. Just to go back to the playing a little bit deeper, how much of an adjustment was that for you? And was there an element at all of having more time once you got comfortable back there? Not just in terms of the broken plays and if somebody moves it east-west on you, but even reacting to an open release.
Yeah, I mean, it goes just if you could track pucks really well, you're gonna put yourself in a good position to make as many saves as you can. And I think managing my depth and managing my lines and also shifting into pucks and it all kind of goes hand in hand. It's literally just simplifying your game. Last year I did I made myself work a lot harder than I needed to, just because of how I was playing. I was way outside my paint and had to cover more ground than I needed to. And this year I've just, made it super simple. We make sure I'm getting my feet set and my feet aren't drifting on shots and I don't have busy feet. And I think it even goes back to this past weekend and Friday night in Abbotsford. I felt good, but at the same time, I knew there was, I was a little busy feet, a little too outside my lines. Made a couple plays that kind of cost goals, and that's the difference maker in games this time of year. And I come back on Saturday, and I was super composed and super, compact and simple, and just made my life super easy. And you were able to come out with a win. So, it's just the super fine details that maybe one doesn't necessarily notice, but they're big difference makers.
Well, it's funny because I sat with Mackenzie during the Friday night's game, and I was really impressed. And he was telling me that you were just that much off, and he mentioned those same things. And I wasn't able to make it back for Saturday night's game. But it's interesting just to hear you talk about how subtle that change is and that you see the difference, in terms of results and goals. And that was a big one for you guys because winning on Saturday night got you the bye out of the first round of the playoffs, which is so crucial in the American Hockey League. So obviously those adjustments are important. We hear a lot, Dustin, about slide versus shift. Just can you walk me through, like for a young goalie or actually any goalie that hears you say that, shifting more rather than sliding, how it manifests itself in terms of how you feel about one movement versus the other, and maybe some of the work or mindset that goes into changing that, of making a shift into a shot versus pushing into a slide.
Yeah, I think the simple way to put it is you're not just going to go. You're not just sliding on a pass or sliding on, a backdoor play. Shifting, you're staying compact. You're not creating holes. We've done a lot of work on shifting just into, say, high shots, keeping feet. It's pretty easy to say, hey, this shot's going to go, mid glove, and you slide into it when you can just drop your, say, left knee, and you don't create extra havoc for yourself if, a rebound is produced. I think there's kind of a fine line in terms of when to use it, when to slide and whatnot. There's certainly scenarios for both. But at the end of the day, if you can create less holes, make yourself just a wall, and just make your life easy, you're going to find yourself with more energy, you're going to make more saves, in my opinion. So it's a skill that certainly gets overlooked, I think.
Okay, speaking of skills, you've mentioned tracking a couple times, and I do want to touch on it. We've talked about it before, but I think how you define it, how the people you work with define it, it'd be good for people to hear it again. But before we get to that, I want to talk about one that I think is overlooked when it comes to your game. And maybe this is just me not watching enough in the American Hockey League, but it sure jumped out at me in that game with the Flames and watching you again here at the end of the season with the Wranglers. Puck handling. Has it always been a strength and the rest of us just weren't paying close enough attention? Or because you went out and got some touches in that NHL game where, man, like, no panic. The puck was off your stick, I would say, like fractions of a second before the forecheck arrives. And yet it never looked like you were in a rush or in a hurry. You just made the play calmly. Has that always been a strength? If not, what have you done to work on it? What advice would you give to young goalies about how to become a better puck handler? Because it's such a crucial part of the game. And I noticed it even here, with the Wranglers, like even if it's just getting out and leaving it and setting it for your defenseman to wheel, what a difference that makes compared to goaltenders that don't have that ability to get out and help their defenders.
Yeah, I've always liked to play pucks and try to help my D out as much as possible. I think this year, as I've gotten more comfortable in the league, and you pre-scout their forechecks and see what most teams like to do, and again, I try to be as patient as I can. Sometimes being patient costs me, and I think that kind of maybe saw that in Friday's night's game a little bit. Those first two goals were kind of a lack of sorts of poor puck placement, and they end up cost us, say, 30 seconds later. But
you show me where the outlet was for you on that first one, because I looked at the replay, because I know that sequence started with the turnover as you went up the wall, but I kept looking at the replays and I'm like, where was the outlet? Like, where was the play he could have made? I guess it's a harder rim along the glass, but I guess those are the things you have to sort of figure out at the pro level.
Yeah, for sure. That's just it. You get back there, and I think I held on to that puck for, a second or two too long. And at that point, you're trying to figure out what to do. And you're honestly screwing yourself over more by trying to think of where to put it. But no, if you can help your D, it's exponential for your group. I like to try to drag a D-man or a forward in and give a guy a pass to give him some time. I wouldn't say we've necessarily done a whole lot this year in terms of improving. I think it just came down to being more patient and reading the forechecks and just experience, honestly. The more you do it, the better you're going to get at it. And, anytime there's a chance in practice or games to go get a puck, I try to do as much as I can. I find it fun too, right? You're out there you're playing shitty hockey, and if you can do it effectively, by all means, go after it. And I think your D-man will love you for it.
Well, I think that's great advice too. Just like that's the one thing goalies get left alone sometimes in practices, plays down at the other end of the ice for a while and you're sitting in your net, like grab a puck. Like every goalie we've talked to that's an exceptional puck handler talks about never losing or missing out on an opportunity to grab a puck, work with it, play with it, find a guy you can pass it to, and just keep working on it without having to be sort of told or have the structure built into you getting a chance to work on it.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, I mean, like I said, if you can do it exceptionally well and work on it and get better, you're gonna not only help yourself out as a player that coaches and staff are watching, but also as a teammate, you're helping your D-man out, you're helping your forwards out, making their life easier.
So patience, you talk about patience with puck handling, patience off the release, tracking. There were a couple here the other night, and I feel like every time I say I was super impressed with something, you're telling me it was an off night. But there was one, I think it was Klimovich, top of the circle, and he's winding up and he's got a good shot. I think he scored 16 or 17 goals in limited ice time in the American League this year, 20 years old. And he's winding up for a slap shot, and he makes what I thought was a pretty nice slap pass to the back door. And not only do you get a push across, but you get rotation. You have a controlled push. You arrive compact at that backdoor opportunity. Whereas most guys, man, I want to say at every level, a lot of guys are committing to their knees off the fake slapper for starters. And anybody that isn't is probably pushing across flat. The ability to get the rotation into that push. Where does this come from? Where does that patience come from? Whether it's off the release or into movement or the quickness with which you move around the crease after having patience before making that move. We talk about the foundations of your game. Where's the origin on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think to start with, I always like to keep my feet. Me and Spearsy came up with the term of 50-50, whereas, like you said, he's winding up for a one-timer. You adjust on your feet and you can drop down mid-push, if you need to. I think the secondary part of it is I've been able to play within my lines and play within my paint and get strong pushes this year because of Skapski and the things we worked on. And exactly that. I get to my spot with Klimovich, he goes back door. And because I'm playing a little bit deeper within my paint, I have the ability to, adjust, my back foot and get angle to that back post pretty effectively. And, last year, I'm probably out a little extra foot and I probably don't get that rotation and angle and most likely don't get to that back post. Right. So, it seems like something very simple, but if you can rely on your tracking ability, if he shoots it to make the save and then also be able to be a little bit deeper to make those rotations and saves on the back post if you need it, it works.
It's funny too because it's a little counterintuitive, right? Because I think a lot of people, the stereotype, Dustin, and I actually said I was not going to ask any of these questions today, and now I'm going to do it because I saw it with UC. Every time I watch UC on TV, the commentators, at least on the national stage, talk about him taking more ice. And I don't think that's actually, situationally he will, but I don't think it's a default. And so I think a lot of people probably look at you being a 6-foot goalie and think, oh, he's got to be out there on the edge of the crease. And here we are talking about the biggest change in your game and a big improvement in numbers is taking less ice. And I think there's a really important lesson there for goalies of all ages and sizes.
Yeah, I mean, everybody till the time I stop playing, till the time UC stops playing, they're all going to call us short.
Right.
And it's unfortunate that they consider 6 foot short, but at the same time, like we're doing what we're set out to do. We're stopping pucks. And, Saros had the best year in terms of goals saved above average. And,
yep.
I watched that game. He played a week or two ago here against the Flames and, he was exceptional. Like you said, everybody says he takes paint, but, much like myself, he's playing within his lines. He's holding his edges. He's getting strong pushes and he's making saves that a lot of guys necessarily won't make. So with being 6 foot or even less at that point. So it's kind of almost just shoving it in their face, and it's kind of fun to do so.
Let's add Devin Levi to the list at 6 foot in the year
sure.
that he had as well. So I swear to God, we're going to change this narrative one day, Dustin, so I don't even have to ask those questions. But I do think, there's a good lesson here, because there are a lot of goalies out there who probably hear that message from coaches, Dustin, that are probably being told, well, hey, you're not that big, you need to get out there. And so it's probably really beneficial for them to hear that, taking more ice is not necessarily the answer. Situationally, yeah, sure, but not as a default policy just because you're not 6'5".
Yeah, you gotta, maintain. It all comes back down to your skating and your tracking. If you can do those two things really well, you're gonna be able to read the play. You're gonna know if there's a pass option and if you can take ice or if you should give up some ice in case he passes it. You can rely on your tracking if there's an option, but you're not so sure he's going to pass it. And you know what? It's if you stop the puck, you stop the puck.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, right? So
hey, you mentioned we've taught you. I'm tracking a whole bunch here, and when you talk about that push and the patience and the routes or the lines you're taking under Skapski to make that backdoor push, the other thing that I notice is you don't just push into it, like you track into that rotation. Can you just talk to us about, because we've heard you use the word tracking, and just for our audience, I think I have a good feel for what you mean by it, but just for our audience, like define it for us and how you see yourself tracking the puck that might be different from those that just say, yeah, just look at the puck, in terms of how you look at the puck.
Yeah, I mean, Jenner considers or likes to call it tracking down. The puck is always coming closer to you. It's coming under your eyes. So the simple, way to say it is chin down, eyes on puck sort of thing. The puck is always going to be coming closer to you, and it's easier done than said, I'd say. It's probably more of a topic for Jenner, but
we're gonna have to call him up and get him on here soon.
Give him a call. He'll give you the rundown. But no, it's not just putting your eyes on the puck. It's you're tracking passes. You're reaching the point where we like to call it the near point, where between two positions or two spots, puck goes from one and comes closer to you, reaches the point where it's closest to you, and then goes away. So there's a lot of different aspects to tracking. It's not just, hey, the puck's coming to you, watch it. So, staying on top of pucks, making sure that you're giving your body and eyes a chance to see as much of the release as possible. If you can see the release, even if it's through a screen, there's a good chance you're able to find it or know in approximation where it's going to be. You can shift into it. No, there's a lot of super fine details, but if you can find the release, that's the most important thing, I think.
Well, and movement too. I won't make you describe near point, far point, and all that stuff. But just in terms of the rotation, it helps you build when you track a certain way to make movements that are the most efficient, that allow you to get that rotation you talked about earlier on those lines. But like I said, we'll get Jenner on here to explain it in more detail. I got one last one for you, because you're a no stone unturned guy, and we love no stone unturned guys. I know in the past we've talked to you about slide boards. You use the ball machine that we wrote about. Is there anything, what's Dustin Wolf got now off the ice, or have you simplified some of the tools you use to stay sharp? Is there anything you can share with us that we can share with our audience that you're using these days?
Yeah, nothing too crazy. First half of the season, I started going to a vision training place here in Calgary that the Flames use. The season got super, super crazy on the second half, so I haven't really had an opportunity to get back in there. But I got a bunch of tools at home. We do a bunch of, we call it the near far chart, where you're standing 10, 15 feet back with a piece of paper with letters on the wall, and you're reading the letters back and forth between a big sheet and a small sheet. I forgot what it's called, maybe a Bronx string or something. I think that's called. It's like a string with little beads on it.
Training
Basically just
convergence and divergence.
Exactly.
Yep.
Correct. So basically that sort of stuff, that was kind of a new add to my system. And actually Comrie kind of got me into that a little bit in the summer. So just the simple things, right? It's tedious, but I mean, it works, right? So
You felt better. The eyes felt better. They're muscles too, right?
for sure they are. They go unnoticed, but they're important.
Okay, Dustin, I am 6 minutes over what I promised I would be. My apologies and my appreciation for your patience. Lots of great answers in there. Lots of things that a lot of kids are going to be able to take away from. I did not get the glove position what we touched on last time, but I wanted to hit it again. We'll save that for down the road one of these days. Maybe even see you here in Abbotsford for the playoffs, depending on how everybody does. Thanks so much for the time, and congratulations on a fantastic season.
Thanks, Kevin. Really appreciate it.
Oh, sorry. I was meditating there as I was listening to that interview. I love the meditation.
Hutch meditates now.
Every morning.
How long?
Every morning. 10, 12 minutes, not that long. I just follow along with something in, one of the many apps for meditation. It's made a huge difference, honestly, guys. It's I'm one of those people that sort of has that voice in my head yammering away all the time, running through all sorts of things, and just that little 10 or 12 minutes in the morning really quieted things down for me.
I call that voice my hamster. He's got a wheel and he's just constantly running up there. If I start meditating,
and it's amazing how it just settles.
Really? If I start meditating, will I be less snaptastic?
You might be. You might be. I've always been pretty chill, though.
Hutch, the voice that's running around in your head is named Woody. Just so we're all aware of
apologies
labels here. All right. The depth and the size part are two different areas, but they come together in such a big way.
And we did not want to make this about size. Every time we talk to Wolfie, we say we're not going to talk about size, and everybody does, and we end up doing it too because you also want to shout it from the rooftops, right? Like we just had this discussion. Like UC Saros is a legitimate Vezina candidate, despite Linus Ullmark having a historically good season, because that's how freaking good UC Saros is. And Saros is listed at 6 foot, but I'm sorry, he's not. Devin Levi, look at the season we talked about him and the coming 6 footer. Dustin Wolf listed at 6 foot. Again, perhaps a bit generous. Let's face it. They list the goalies a little taller than they are sometimes. At the end of the day, at a time when the league continues to chase 6'5" behemoths, these guys are playing not just well, but at the top levels of the game. And they're doing things that I think the mainstream analysts, and I hate to say it, a lot of coaches at the minor levels, and I'm not hammering on goalie coaches here, but let's be honest, a lot of kids don't get goalie coaches when they're in minor hockey, are going to look at a kid that size or an undersized kid at younger ages, and they're going to say, you're small, you need to challenge. You need to cut down the angle like it's 1988 or some crap. Dustin Wolf had a sensational rookie season in the American Hockey League. Started playing deeper and got better. There are no absolutes in this position. Dustin takes ice when he needs it. He's starting from a more neutral position. As he talked about, he will get to the edge of his crease when he needs to be. But it's changed how he plays a lot of situational stuff. UC Saros, we talked about Linus Ullmark and recoil and backing up. UC Saros has a little bit in that in his game. And yet every time I watch UC Saros on a national broadcast, they're talking about look how aggressive he is. And yeah, he will take ice situationally. But you do not have to come flying out of your crease and play 2 feet outside it just because you're not 6'5". And the reality is Dustin Wolf, right alongside UC Saros, and I would love if we could figure out some type of goalie speed test, the goalie equivalent of the 40-yard dash, T-pushes, and butterfly slides, because I swear to God, Wolf is the fastest goaltender I've ever seen. It's insane. You should watch. I've watched him in practices where they do drills that are 100% set up to be scorer drills. Like the goalie has no chance. This is all about scoring, and they can't score. Like the kid is insane quick. And so when your footwork is as good and your rotations are as good and you're as fast as Dustin Wolf, I can see the temptation. Well, hey man, like you're so damn fast, you can take more ice because you're still going to beat that pass, but there's no need. And so to hear that, like I think it's an important point. And I think it's an important point for young kids who, again, it's not an absolute. Don't go yell at your goalie coach that I don't care, I'm this size, I can go stand on my goal line and play inside out all the time. That's not what we're talking about here. But also on the flip side, just because you're not 6'5" doesn't mean you have to play like with your heels 1.5 feet outside your crease. The little ropes you line up don't make sense. You can fill the net from much deeper positions and you're going to have access and better paths or lines, as they call them in Calgary with the Wranglers, whether it's Skapski or Wolf, to next pucks and second pucks and cross ice passes and all those things.
I think there's something that people miss when they go for that extra depth as well. I mentioned the perfection of Saros, and we mentioned the perfection of Dustin Wolf and how you have to be so good if you're a little bit smaller. But if you take too much depth, every mistake is magnified. I think everybody just thinks if you come out far enough, you'll cover the whole net easily. But if you're off 2 inches to the left when you've taken more depth, that actually opens up more net than it would if you were deeper in the net. And we could do a few diagrams and show that in an article one day. But you actually...
That just rocked my world. I've never thought of it. I've never thought of it in that way.
I start to think about weird things when I'm watching practices.
That's amazing way to break down depth and being too over-aggressive.
You lose your margin for error in every aspect.
All you have to do is go watch 1970s goaltending and you'll be shocked at a puck going past a guy who's 25 feet out of the net. But now you're off an inch and it makes a massive difference. The other thing, interestingly, guys, the NHL Central Scouting final rankings came out, was it yesterday or today? And as I'm just flipping through the list here, of 38 North American goaltenders ranked in this list, only 6 of them were over 6'3", and 5 of them are 6 foot. So quite a number at 6 foot, 6'1", 6'2". Hate to say that 6'2" is smaller, but you feel like maybe some other guys are starting to get recognized.
Are they still growing at that point, though?
I don't know. Don't know.
I keep hoping for another growth spurt.
Yeah, me too.
On the subject of growing, Devin Levi professionally is expanding his resume right now with an addition to Team Canada.
Yeah, and good on him. He's going to go to the World Championships after he goes back to Northeastern and finishes up his school for the year. What an end of the season he had. I think we had this debate about, do you start him in the American League or the NHL next year? And everything he did showed he may be capable of making a jump that I don't think we would otherwise recommend. And he's going to get a chance to keep playing. I mean, the kid just loves hockey, right? He loves goaltending. We've talked to him before. That passion comes through. And so I'd be honest with you, he's obviously a bigger man than I might have been tempted to tell Hockey Canada to go jump. If I had been invited to the Olympics and interrupted a historically good NCAA season last year just to be left rotting on the bench. And I think Hockey Canada's decision or the coach's decisions to leave Levi on the bench at the Olympics, unless they were seeing something in practices that we've never seen at any other level out of him, looks even more short-sighted now when you see his ability to jump right into the National Hockey League level against the best shooters in the world. The idea that he somehow wasn't equipped to do that at the Olympic stage looks, like I said, frankly, it looks silly right now. I still can't believe they didn't give him a shot after pulling him out of, like I said, a historic season last year. Back-to-back Richter trophies. We talked about Dustin Wolf getting back-to-back AHL goalie of the years. Looks like Levi already has back-to-back Mike Richter trophies. Is the best goalie in college hockey. The numbers he posted are historic. I can't wait to see him at the World Championships. I can't wait to see how his career unfolds. In addition to being really good, he's just fun. I love his approach. I love his mindset. I love how he does shootouts. Like there's an aggression there, purposeful aggression. Like there's just, he's going to be fun to watch for a long time. And as a goalie geek, I can't wait to. This is a ride that's just starting and one I think we're all going to enjoy watching.
Fun. I love the idea of having fun and embracing it. We're seeing that with this changeover that is happening right now in the National Hockey League from the old consistent group that we watched for so many years to this new crop. Fun is a big part of it, and that's part of being new to the National Hockey League on every level. But the goaltending side of it's really being jumping out at us.
About Philip Gustafson, how you doing for a playoff debut, eh? 50 plus, double OT, not a problem. Follows up on a season. Follows up on a season where he was the only goalie right there with Linus Ullmark. We talked about it on a per shot basis, adjusted save percentage. If Philip Gustafson played more this season, he'd be in that Vezina Trophy conversation. He was only 39 starts, so that keeps him out of it. But man, and he gets on that stage in an intense, bitter, one of the most intense playoff games of the first round, or at least the first games of the first round. Maybe a little outside of his game and uncharacteristic in the first period, settles it down. And, early in the second, I think he gave up 2 quick goals, settles it down the rest of the way, gets through double overtime. The future is bright for goaltending, not just at the National Hockey League, but at every level. And you're right, Darren. It's fun to watch.
Yeah, he settled into a rhythm as game one went on. I'll be really fascinated to watch all of these goaltenders who are in high-pressure situations, new situations, how they adapt as series goes on, and they get used to the intensity of the Stanley Cup playoffs. But Gustafson was as cool as David Hutchison, meditating, just in the moment, zen. Tendy Fest, June 17th. I cannot wait for this. Give us the details one more time.
June 17th.
All right. Where?
Langley Iceplex. I think it's the Iceplex. Listen, I am not a Langley. I don't go to Langley to skate very much. I go out there for the hockey shop. I don't visit the local rinks. I don't know them all by name. So let's just leave it at this. Check out the social media for the hockey shop goal department. THS Goal, at THS Goal on both Instagram and Twitter. I know they got TikTok accounts, but I'm not cool enough to find them on there or young enough. So check it out. All the details are on there. We'll retweet it and repost it from our accounts here in the next little while. It's a great day. We have people come all the way up from south of Seattle. We have people come all the way from as far east as Calgary in years past. It's a full day of goaltending. We are going to bring a special guest. We are going to do some interviews on site for everyone to hear. It's a chance to get on the ice and demo whatever gear you want. They have it all there. To me, this is the perfect spot. Whether it's sizing, because the sizing changes from year to year on some brands, from model to model, to make sure you've got it dialed in, or just think how many people, I'll give you the Bauer example, right? Never played in those pads. They do sort of, you have to size them up. You have to fit them a little differently. They're not a traditional feeling pad. But they're incredible once you get them on. So if you've been waiting for years to try it and you're just that's a big investment, get out there at the hockey shop. Get them on the ice for a while. Take shots. They've got stations. They run drills. You can get out there, do some skating, feel how it is on your leg and say, hey, maybe this is something for me, or maybe not. Maybe I need to stick with my softer, more traditional pad. Whether you're a parent with a young kid coming up or a beer leaguer, there is no better opportunity to try out the new gear than the Hockey Shop Tendy Fest, June 17th. Check out the socials for all the details.
Awesome stuff. Cam will be there. We'll get to have meet and greets with Cam, photo opportunities with Hutch, and of course, sit down and get one more from Woodley. One more. All of the things that you love about InGoal Radio, the podcast, and the relationship with the Hockey Shop, source for Sports Langley, thehockeyshop.com. I can see the wheels turning in Woody's mind right now. Just going around.
I'm just thinking, if you're there and you're in a rush to get somewhere at the end of Tendy Fest, don't stop by and have a word with Woody.
Just one more.
Yeah, because you'll be there for another 20-30 minutes.
One more from Woody. Oh, yeah, I understand that. That's good. Thanks to Cam. Thanks to Dustin. That was awesome today. Really, really cool. And thanks to you for listening to InGoal Radio, the podcast.